or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got a new Whimsicott to talk about, although really, we're talking about Lost March. Yeah, more on that in a moment. Now, our translation here today does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, who is a lovely person and has shown us what Whimsicott does. Now, starting off, it's got 70 HP, which is exceedingly low for a Stage 1 Pokemon. Like, really low. Even lower than the one from Unified Minds, which has 80 HP. Boo, etc. Now, to be fair, Whimsicott always has low HP, but also, could it not have just had 60? And then you could have gone and gotten it with Professor Rao's lecture. Like, if it's gonna be terrible, it might as well be terrible and give you access to Professor Rao's lecture. So, not loving this at all, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm honest with you. I do love the fact that it's got free retreat. The other Whimsicott did, but still, it's nice to have free retreat. And the weakness to metal, I mean, on the one hand, it's fine, because metal decks just aren't particularly relevant at the moment. But on the other hand, you've got 70 HP. Yeah. And again, resistance to darkness is nice, but you've got 70 HP. Now, to be fair, the darkness Pokemon seeing the most play at the moment is Hooper, and this will essentially mean you need one more ability in play in order for Hooper to one-hit KO you, so that could actually be significant and relevant, so I like it in that regard. And being a fairy Pokemon means you're hitting a good weakness. Naganadel is currently seeing a lot of play, but by the time this comes out, we are expecting that Reshiram and Zekrom, which will be in the same set, Cosmic Eclipse, will be one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the format, so hitting that for weakness is good. And being a fairy Pokemon means that you can use fairy charms, like Fairy Charm ability, for instance, which will give you immunity from Mewtwo and Mew, or Fairy Charm Dragon, which will give you immunity from the aforementioned Reshiram and Zekrom. Yeah, frankly, having the fairy charms is an amazing thing right now. Plus, you got Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. It's a good time to be a fairy Pokemon. Good weakness, good stadium, and those fairy charms, I did a video about it recently, I'll pop a link in the description, but I really do believe that they are going to be the difference between a lot of decks winning and losing. But what does it actually do? Well, the first attack for one fairy energy, which is good, but you don't need to use it. Put a card from your hand into the Lost Zone, and then draw 3 cards. Well, that seems pretty gosh darn good. Now look, getting the 3 cards is fine. As far as drawing with an attack, drawing 3 is about as good as it gets, so that's alright. And putting a card in the Lost Zone can really help. This is an attack on a Stage 1, so you really are in a situation here where you're using this if you're desperate. You don't want to be using this attack. The attack you want to be using is the main attack here, 2 colorless energy, Lost March. This attack does 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in the Lost Zone, excluding Prism Star Pokemon. Prism Star Pokemon like Ditto, which you might want to play in this deck with it being a Stage 1 deck, go to the Lost Zone rather than the discard pile. They don't count, unfortunately, for Lost March. Otherwise, you could just play a bunch of them and discard them and they'd go to the Lost Zone and it would be a little bit too good, a little bit broken. And at this stage, you should be thinking, well, hang on a second. This sounds a lot like Jumpluff, and it is. It's Jumpluff. It's Natu. This is Lost March, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lost March. We've got another Pokemon. And the good news is that our previous Lost March Pokemon came out in Lost Thunder, which means that they are still legal in our format. The question is, how good is Lost March? Well, to put it into a little bit of perspective, the last time that Lost March was really good was back at the International in Melbourne in February, where Josh Bradley got 42nd place. Now, it did take second at a special event in Peru the weekend before, but it's never been amazing in huge tournaments. It's cut plenty of regionals. 3 in Roanoke, couple in Harrogate. But it's not been phenomenal. And I think part of the reason is Tag Team GXs. You see, Tag Team GXs have a huge amount of HP. So if you take something like Reshiram and Charizard, for instance, well, they've got 270 HP, which means you need 14 Pokemon in the Lost Zone in order to actually go ahead and get a KO on this. Well, that's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot. But the thing is, we've now actually got a lot of different options. You see, Jump Bluff was always kind of the gold standard here. 1 coloured energy, grass in this case, 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Cool. And it had free retreat and 70 HP as a stage 2, though it did also have Skip Bloom that both helps you turn it into a pseudo stage 1. It's not technically a stage 1, but when you evolve up into Skip Bloom, you put Jump Bluff down and put these cards in the Lost Zone, that being the Hoppip and the Skip Bloom, so the same kind of deal. Well, here, you're only a stage 1, and you don't get the Skip Bloom putting you in the Lost Zone, which is a little bit sad, but you've got a different typing. And I think that's one of the key points here. Natu is a Psychic Pokemon, great for weakness on Mewtwo and Mew. Jump Bluff is a Grass Pokemon, great for weakness on Slowpoke and Psyduck? Maybe? I've seen that see a little bit of play here and there. It's not a relevant weakness right now, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. But you've now got a second really good weakness. And I don't think you drop Jump Bluff, but now you've got an alternative. Now, the other thing is that Natu's only got 40 HP. Now, it might be a basic, but it's only got 40 HP. That's a little bit sad. But what you can do here is have a 70 HP-er. And against things like Espeon and Deoxys, who can KO... Well, they do 10 damage counters dropping for the GX attack, 20 if they got 6 energy. So, main attack does 2 Natu, or 1 Whimsicott. The superpowered GX attack does 4 Natu, or 2 Whimsicott. That's a big difference, bearing in mind that sees a lot of play. Something like Ultra Necrozma drops 6 damage counters as a GX attack when there are 6 or fewer prize cards remaining between both players, which will KO Natu, but won't KO this. And as for, yeah, okay, but you've got to have more Pokemon, you're playing Lost March. You want lots of Pokemon in your deck so that you can Lost Zone them. As a side note, in terms of what you're using to get them in the Lost Zone, you do have the aforementioned Skip Bloom, which really is brilliant, frankly. You've also got Trumbeak here. Now, I love Trumbeak because firstly, it's a stage 1, so you cannot start with it. And secondly, you can put it in the Lost Zone while also putting the top card of your opponent's deck in the Lost Zone if it's a supporter. We also do have just Lost Blender, which is pretty gosh darn good. And between the two of those and Skip Bloom, you generally get stuff in the discard moderately easily, so that's quite nice. The thing was, we lost double colourless energy to the rotation, and Natu really needs double colourless energy, but Whimsicott can use triple acceleration energy. Will this save the deck? I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if Lost March is going to be good again, but I can tell you that Lost March with Whimsicott has a much better chance than Lost March without Whimsicott, because you've got that higher HP that helps avoid some of the most terrifying Pokemon, because you can use triple acceleration energy, which really covers for the fact, because at the moment Natu doesn't have a single energy that can pay the cost. We also lost counter energy to the rotation. And you can only play 4 Jump Bluffs, so when they're gone, they're gone. And you can't recover Jump Bluff, because you have to put Hoppip and Skip Bloom in the Lost Zone. Well, you don't have to, but you do, really, to get it rolling properly, in order to get Jump Bluff out. So you've got 4 Jump Bluff, And then Natu, which doesn't have a good energy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in comes Whimsicott to solve that problem. And it's only a stage 1. And not for nothing, but let's not forget, you can also play Whimsicott from from Unified Minds, which when you evolve up into, you can search for any card, like for instance Triple Acceleration Energy, if you're stuck. Instead, you can play the Whimsicott from Unbroken Bonds. It is the GX. It's not amazing, but it's got an ability whereby if your opponent tries to damage you, flip a coin, if heads prevent that damage. And it's got an attack that does 10 plus 30 more for each energy attached to this Pokemon. It could be a nice emergency, but I don't think it's really great in the deck. What I think about this is, you know what? This is cool. This is really cool. This makes Lost March better. You've now got a stage 1 that can use Triple Acceleration Energy, which is a great backup and very much has your back. Maybe Tag Team GXs will still be too good, but you're now hitting 3 different weaknesses rather than 2, and incidentally, you do not drop Natu from this deck because of how good it can be against Mewtwo and Mew. Yes, I know they can play Jirachi, but I also know you can play Power Plant, so, you know, just putting that out there. Or you just gust up and KO Jirachi because it's got 160 HP and gives up 2 prizes. That could help. But I think that it really does solve a problem that Natu doesn't solve. You can only play 4 Jumpluff. Natu has 40 HP, which is terrible in this format, because Mew does not protect against damage counters being dropped. And that's what we're terrified of. And we don't have a way to pay the attack cost in one go. Whimsicott has neither of those problems. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and I think that Lost March could be back. And even if it's not a great deck, even if it's not the best deck, I think Lost March should now go from a, meh, it was fun once upon a time, to a, hey, this could work again kind of deck. But I'd like to know what you think about it. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.